Everything they try to do just isn't working. We looked at the Bibby Stockholm. They only got 39 people on there. They're now off because of Legionella. Maybe they'll come back, maybe they won't. We're spending huge amounts of money, includes hundreds of millions of pounds to the French. We're hearing about shots fired when 6 Afghans very sadly lost their lives in the Channel over the weekend. It is a total mess.
Yes, all that, Peter, and more, frankly. And the worst thing about it is that, in my opinion, it's going to get a lot worse. And it's only when it gets so bad that we really can't cope with the reaction, and the government can't cope with the reaction, that they will actually get realistic about how to stop this whole problem and how to solve it. It isn't just us, and it's very complex, as I think Matthew really alluded to. We do need the French to be on board. We do need the EU to be on board. We do need to be serious about removing people once they've arrived here. And I think that Rwanda will certainly help if it ever gets off the ground.
Do you think it will? It was interesting. I was chatting, Alp,
it's not going to solve it.
Sorry to interrupt you, Alp. I was talking to John Rentoul earlier, the political commentator who knows the Labour Party back to front. And he was saying that he thinks the Supreme Court will actually rule in the government's favour in regard to sending people to Rwanda. Do you agree with him?
I think that logic tells you that given that the Lord Chief Justice actually thought that this was perfectly reasonable, and indeed the High Court, well, there seems to be senior judges, certainly put it that way, that think that this is perfectly reasonable, perfectly lawful, and that the government will be able to go ahead. But once that happens, I have no doubt that other legal avenues will be tried by all sorts of people, frankly, who don't want to see the whole Rwanda policy and the whole removal policy to get off the ground, because they are in favour. They want the people who are making their way across the Channel illegally, they want them to come here and stay. And that, I'm afraid, is something that the majority of people in this country say no to. And that's why the government is actually going to do its best, I suspect, as the next government will do its best. Whether it's enough to stop the boats, as things are, I very much doubt it.
Is this a problem?
There was something in the paper today, Peter, that you no doubt saw, that officials have worked out that somehow it's going to take another 5 years to solve this problem.
I think that's optimistic, Alp.
I think it's pie in the sky, actually, Peter. Certainly nothing has happened, or very little has happened, to suggest that either people will stop coming, or indeed that we will stop them coming some way. It just isn't going to happen, I'm afraid.
What do you make? I mean, Labour is gearing up. They seem to be the government in waiting. We look at so many of the polls on various results, including by-election results. If you put the three recent by-elections together, even in Uxbridge, Labour are about 21 points ahead. So let's say, for the sake of argument, Labour become the government, Keir Starmer becomes the Prime Minister, Yvette Cooper, new Home Secretary. Do you have faith that they could sort this out, that things could be different under a Labour government, or would it just be more of the same, Alp?
I don't have faith that any government, including a future Labour government, as things are actually going to solve this. What Labour has said... Can
it be solved, Alp? Is it possible to solve the problem?
Yes, it is possible to solve the problem. And it starts way back when, last year there were 330,000 people came in illegally into the EU. A lot of them will end up on our shores. Yes, it can, but we need to act in unison, and we need to act collectively across the whole of Europe, not just the EU, but all of Europe, if this is going to be stopped. And I'm afraid at the moment there seems to be no will, really, to dissuade people from jumping into boats, be it from North Africa or be it from the other side of the Channel. At the moment, once they get into Europe, once they get into this country, once they get into the UK, they are here to stay, and we look after them. Why wouldn't they come?
Yes.
Why wouldn't
Yes.
smugglers actually get a lot of money for getting them here, given that that's what's going to happen?
Yeah. Alp, you make a lot of sense. Alp Mehmet there, Chairman of Migration Watch UK. Thank you very, very much indeed.